Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Covering Your Health with Evelyn Erives, presented by IEHP. Oh, I can't believe this is our last episode before our summer hiatus. Summertime fun right around the corner. But we wanted to turn up the heat on the podcast too by bringing the conversation back to our air-conditioned studios here at iHeartRadio. And also welcome Dr. Andrew Mock. You are going to love this guy. He's an area physician at Loma Linda University who not only saves lives in his 9-to-5, he also owns a successful strongman. He owns a successful strongman and powerlifting. I have to make sure I add that in there because that's very important. A gym here in Redlands. He's also a 4-time California strongman. So cool, right? We're so grateful Dr. Mock has taken time out of his busy schedule to speak to us. But before we welcome him to the mic, let me give you a little background on Dr. Mock. He's a board-certified family preventative and lifestyle medicine physician and is the current medical director for Loma Linda University Center for Health Promotion, Preventative Medicine, and Population Health Clerkship Director and Director of Lifestyle Medicine Residency Curriculum. He's a teacher as well. He's also on the board of the Medical Fitness Association, the chair of the Fitness and Medicine Interest Group for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and has trained state, national, and world champion athletes. Dr. Mock is also an advocate for education, which is why we're so excited to bring him on board for the Covering Your Health episodes. And hopefully we're going to have him back because I think after this conversation, you're going to want to see more of him as well. He's going to share a little bit about his story, how he found his passion in practicing medicine, and how he trains to become one of the state's strongest, both in the medical field and in the gym.
Welcome to Covering Your Health, a wellness podcast dedicated to covering all areas of living a healthy and happy lifestyle. From healthy hearts to understanding health plans and everything in between, each episode will provide you with a better understanding of managing your health, preventative care, and staying on the right path for your family's wellness journey. The Covering Your Health podcast is presented by IEHP. Now, your host, Evelyn Erives.
Welcome, Dr. Andrew Mock. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, so excited to have you here. And I know IEHP was very eager to get you on the podcast. So let's start. I always begin by talking about the guest. I want to know about you. We know your amazing accolades and all the crazy, amazing things that you have done in your career. But tell me, where did that start? Did you always know you were going to get into medicine from a young age? Did you think you were going to be a strong man at 10? Yeah. Tell me about that.
No, I really like the saying, I'm not here despite it all. I'm here because of it all.
Oh, I like that.
So I grew up in a small town in southwest Georgia, rural Georgia, Albany, Georgia. That's where I spent most of my adult life prior to medicine. In high school, I actually was very sick as a kid. So I had about 4 stomach surgeries.
Oh my gosh.
Missed a lot of school and had some health challenges. I actually ended up dropping out of high school.
Oh, what?
In 10th grade.
And, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was the combination of the health and, not really knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it took me many years to figure out how important the nutrition and the exercise pieces were for that, to really take care of myself. And people will say how did you find medicine? And I think medicine actually found me.
Right.
And it found me through the gym.
Oh.
So my friend's mom, her name is Leah. She's in Albany, Georgia. She was one of the head trainers at the local gym. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey man, let's go to the gym. And then started going with my friend Miles and then never stopped.
Wow.
And I just, even the little muscle diagrams on the machines, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Let me learn how I'm using this muscle. And so I started doing my own research on the internet, learning about the different muscles. And I'm like, wow, I really like this type of information. And I'm like, well, how is my nutrition going to be helping me?
Yeah.
And then I learned how to improve my own health as well as performance through my nutrition. And I'm like, this is such cool information. And we're all nerds in medicine in our own way. And I am just a nerd about exercise. But the fun part of it is I really like sharing that information. So I'm like, how do I share that information more? And so the root word for doctor in Latin is docere, which means to teach.
There it
so
is.
that sharing information, education, that is what led me to medicine. And
Wow. How did you? So now I'm stopping
Yeah.
you, but so you dropped out of high school. Like, so did you go back to
Yeah.
finish? A year later, or like, how did that work for you?
So I have my GED.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my GED. And the thing that they don't tell you when you don't finish high school is all of those college prep classes that you take in high school, they are actually requirements for when you get to college. So if you haven't had them, you still need to take them.
Oh.
So for my first, my first, I think it was 3 or 4 semesters of college were actually just taking all of those classes that I didn't do. So it took me longer.
Yeah.
I graduated college for undergrad. It took me about 7 years to complete that. And part of that too, was my dad's health during the time as well.
Oh.
So a big part of my journey there as well. So a little bit about his story. So he's a Vietnam veteran, and from his PTSD with that, alcohol and smoking were the ways that he treated what was not being treated.
His coping mechanism.
Yes. And so in 2012, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. And his cancer diagnosis was the first time that I really thought about the role that nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle in general played in health. I had already improved my health quite a lot with nutrition and exercise. So I had a lot of this information, but I'm like, well, how do I apply it to my dad's situation? And so he had his PET scan in January of that year. And we just gave him this special sugar, to make all of his cancer light up on the CT scan. So that's how we tell how well we have it controlled. And so we see all his cancer light up from this sugar molecule. And because he had trouble swallowing, he had a PEG tube to help get his nutrition to keep him from losing more weight.
Yeah.
But then I'm pouring this brown liquid with a lot of added sugar through the PEG tube.
And that probably felt weird to
doesn't
you.
make sense.
It doesn't make
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, what can we do? Thankfully, I have this lifelong relationship with blending a lot of my food because with what I do in Strongman, we have to eat quite a lot. So I knew a lot that you could blend foods. And then I found this whole kind of resource of blenderized foods.
Oh, wow.
And so that gave us a very powerful tool for him to get real whole foods. The dietitian was like, how did you even come up with this? I'm like, it's just basic nutrition. So we just used the whole foods. We cooked them in a crock pot, blended them up very fine. The best part about that is he missed eating. So he could taste this food.
Oh, yeah.
So it didn't change the outcome. He passed away 8 months later in 2012. But that really did, set this point in my mind that the lifestyle pieces are the most important part of taking care of chronic health conditions.
Absolutely. And you gave him that joy too.
Yeah, so
even in through that process of like trying to figure out what's going on, how do I help him in my own way, you gave him a piece of joy back, even though he had only so much more time with you. Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, that's so cool to know about your background because it makes a lot of sense for your path, right? Your path forward and now your path into teaching. You're a huge advocate for education, and part of that work is educating your patient on really how to adapt a new workout plan, which I always think is so funny because whenever you start a new diet or you start a new workout plan, they're always like, consult your physician first, and I never do.
Yeah. We'll
Does
definitely
anyone
talk about that.
like I know, but you always think that like did I tell my doctor that I started working out again? Why is it so important to have that as a resource as well, your doctor?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we are part of a team, right? And the patient is the captain of that team, and we are along on that journey to partner with the patient to help in a selfless manner prioritize their health, whatever that looks like for the person that's sitting right in front of us.
Yeah.
And so that's the reality is we have to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And that looks different for everyone. So you have to know someone to do that. And specifically on should I even talk to my doctor before beginning an exercise program? So we have guidelines for this from the American College of Sports Medicine. The reality is most people, they are very low risk for starting an exercise regimen. So they don't have to talk to their doctor so long as certain things are true. Now, if you've had a heart attack or a stroke,
Right.
like you have heart disease, if you have metabolic disease, specifically diabetes, or if you have kidney disease, those are the three groups of people that we recommend talking to your doctor before beginning that exercise plan. Or if you have symptoms of any of those things, then we recommend talking. And then after we have that conversation, it could be some reassurance. But for most people, it is very low risk to start an exercise regimen and then gradually increase it.
So let's talk about that gradual increase. Why is it so important for someone to start slow rather than I'm jumping into CrossFit?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I'm in all day.
Yeah. So we'll have 3 words: progress as tolerated, and that's straight from the recommendations themselves. So and we can break that down and what that actually means, because the most likely time for you to have something pop up is when you're changing the dose. And the reason I say dose, because we write exercise prescriptions every single day.
Okay.
And this is a very important prescription.
Yeah.
So what that means is if you are starting a new plan, as you are getting better at doing the exercise, you can gradually do more, whether that's the time you're exercising, how hard you're exercising, or in my case, the amount of weight that you're lifting. And there's some very simple tools that we can teach people to know, like, hey, is this a good dose for me? And am I tolerating this exercise?
Right. And like, when is it time for me to take that next step into maybe a longer workout or more weight involved in that? Oh, that's fascinating. So for somebody that's looking to kick off a new healthcare routine, what type of advice do you start with?
Yeah, I would say start with what you know you can currently do. So
Could be walking.
It could be walking.
Yeah.
So, for the 80-year-old woman that I saw in my clinic today, where we talked about strength training and blending those foods to help her get her weight back up after she's lost some, I said, how far did you walk to get into the office? And she's like, oh, on the other side of the building. It was kind of a far walk. She used the far parking lot. And I was like, well, we know that you can already do that much. So how often throughout the week are you walking at least that far? And we talked about the number of days and where she's at currently. And then we came up with a plan for how she can gradually increase that dose of the exercise.
Yeah, that's smart. And again, meeting people where they are, they are. Why is it so important to partner, again, with your primary care provider? And we talked a little about that already, but can you give us another couple key points as to why that's got to be the starting point?
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is for all of us in the U.S., this is our entry point into the healthcare system. I said the patient's really the quarterback, but on the medical team side of things, the primary care doctor is the quarterback, coordinating all of those things. So this is the person that you could realistically see multiple times per year for the rest of your life and get to know you best. So they're often the person that's going to have the most information about you as a person to be able to guide you on that individual journey.
And I think that's probably a good sidebar on that is that's why it's so important to have a good primary care physician, right? I think a lot of people, depending on your insurance and things and how things change, you change doctors and it's so tough to keep your favorite doctor if your insurance changes, but it is so vitally important to make sure you make a connection with that primary care physician that actually cares about you. And we've been talking about this a lot on the podcast. Yeah. Advocate for yourself, right? And second, if you don't feel that connection with your PCP, they may be.
Right. Maybe they're not the person for you.
Maybe they're not the one for you.
And that's absolutely okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So even like with the gym, I talk about all the time, people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I need to cancel my membership. I'm moving. And I'm like, I stopped being the best place for you to come. And that's okay. My job is to make sure that if it's possible for me to be the best place, or if it's possible for me to be the best member of your medical team, then I will be here. Yeah. But if something changes and I'm no longer able to be that best member, I should actually tell you that that's the case. Yeah. I'll oftentimes when I'm meeting patients for the first time, I'll let them know, right? If you don't feel like this is a good relationship, I'm happy to refer you to somebody who might be a better fit for you based off our conversations and how things are going.
Yeah. And I think one of those things that could be a struggle for a lot of people is that consistency, right? Maybe you picked a gym that's a little too far for you, so it's not going to be as easy to access, every day. When people are struggling with that consistency, what's some advice that you give them?
Yeah. So if it's a hard task, when your motivation is very high, you will be able to do a hard task. But let's say life comes up.
Yeah.
Right?
Life's, man.
You have multiple school age kids, right? So like if it's sports season or anything like that, right? It becomes harder to do what you were doing before just because life changes. Yeah. So what can you do, even if it's not exactly what you want to do, that will still be beneficial? And so I love the saying, do not let perfect be the enemy of good. Oh. And so that's sometimes we'll get in the way of ourselves, right? There's like, oh, well, I can't go to the gym for 30 minutes or an hour today, so I'm just not going to do anything. But do you have any idea what the minimum amount of exercise we need to do in order to start getting any benefit?
What is that?
Anything.
Anything.
Seconds.
Wow.
30, 40 seconds, feeling like you're exercising, standing up and down from the chair, doing squats.
Couple jumping jacks.
Taking a 3-minute walk.
Yeah.
If you do 10 squats, squats for about 30 to 40 seconds, or taking that 3-minute walk every 45 minutes throughout the day, you actually reduce your risk of getting diabetes. That's not going to the gym.
That blows my mind.
Right? That's just breaking up the inactivity throughout the day.
That's doable.
That's absolutely doable.
Yeah.
So let's say—
I feel like you're telling me what I need to be.
Well, so no, this is for all of us, right? So this is for myself, right?
No, I'm taking this to heart too.
Most of us at this point we have a watch on our hand that tells us it buzzes when it goes off, right? Hey, it's time to stand up. Hey, it's time to move.
We have a love-hate relationship.
How often do you ignore that?
Every once in a while, when I'm like super busy and I cannot get up because I'm like, no, I got to finish this.
So whether it's my patients, my students, the residents that I'm teaching, we come up with rules for that prompt to say, when are you allowed to ignore that? Yeah. Right. If it's been a while since you've cuddled with your kid on the couch, right, and they're in that good spot, that is a perfect time to ignore that stand up. Yeah. If it's just throughout the day, hey, maybe it's very easy to go do that. The one that I take to heart for myself, if I'm in the room with a patient, that's probably the most important time for me to stand up and listen to that, because I want to demonstrate the behavior that can help all of us. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, so smart. I know my watch will go off and be like, it's time to stand up. And I'm like, okay.
Now everybody's going to have more guilt when their prompt goes off on
Look,
their
just
watch.
stand up. It's not that hard.
Yeah. But, you can tell your phone or your other smart device, set a timer for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Let's talk about your powerlifting, because this is so cool. This is a really, you don't meet a lot of doctors who are super into powerlifting. Okay. I've talked to countless doctors. How did this become a passion for you?
Yeah. So I mentioned about the gym, and actually it all started out, with bodybuilding, right? That's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want to look big and symmetrical as possible with very low body fat. Yeah. Very much an appearance, not so much a health side of things. Yeah. And then I found the strength side of things, right? And that I am not as strong as a lot of the guys that I compete against. With static strength, meaning just standing still and that raw strength. But I'm very good at picking things up and moving with them and being fast. So I just really enjoy exercise. Yeah. I think that's like my ultimate genetic gift. I get a lot of positive feelings from exercising very hard. And I know that it's something that's helped me consistently. But no, I grew up watching them on TV, right? It's like, so if you've seen Strongman on TV, right, it's the guys that pick up the rocks, that pull the trucks. Usually it comes on like July 4th or Christmas time is when they air World's Strongest Man. And I was like, wow, I am never going to be as big and strong as those guys. I have the height, actually. But then I learned that there are weight classes. So my weight class is 231 pounds, or more recently now 200 pounds. So I don't have to compete with the guys that are 6'8", 350 pounds with abs.
Yeah, that would be really challenging.
Hafthor Bjornsson, the mountain on the Game of Thrones. So, but I see them at competitions.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I really love exercise. it being challenging to me is very important. I always make the statement that I can make the gym harder than anything life has to throw at me. So good luck, life.
Oh, that's a great thing to
being
say.
difficult because me and the gym got it taken care of.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really cool way to look at it because if you think about it like that, like I can conquer this.
Yeah.
And it's harder.
It's scientifically true. Right. So the people that are in the top quarter of strength, the top 25%, they are less likely to die for any reason by 25% compared to that lower groups.
Yeah, that's motivation.
So lifting weights quite literally makes you harder to kill.
In the movies too.
Correct.
I heard.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, we all grew up seeing Arnold and Rambo on TV.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us
really
started
hard to
on
kill.
that journey. Yeah, very hard to kill. It's near impossible to kill Rambo on TV. He's got the hero effect too.
He really does. Is he one of your idols? Tell me about some of your idols.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I think a lot of us in the fitness industry absolutely grew up seeing those guys. And I remember, when I was... It's very hard to eat the amount of food that we have to eat to gain this amount of weight. And I remember watching Pumping Iron during my meals, like for motivation, and Arnold's on there, and you're just like, someday. For most of us, probably only a very few people in the world couldn't even be close to
that.
But then, on the bodybuilding side of things, Ronnie Coleman, he's another famous bodybuilder, 8-time Mr. Olympia. So he was a big influence. But then just a lot of the guys in strongman, Brian Shaw, he's probably one of the most influential. But then it shifted into kind of like the health educator side of things that really became the idols. So now people that I would consider friends, so Jordan Feigenbaum and Austin Baraki, they have a company called Barbell Medicine.
Okay.
They're some of the best educators in the world in this area when it comes to just general health promotion, but especially on the exercise side of things.
Oh, wow.
So, if people are not familiar with them, highly recommend them as a resource for excellent health information.
Yeah.
Because we both know that that's the challenge is where do I get good information from?
I think especially in the world of, internet, chat GPT and
yes.
and, social media, and there's so much out there. It's almost like there's too much out there.
Right.
So it's hard to decipher
It becomes overwhelming.
What's right. Yeah. What should I be paying attention to? I think I follow, at least 50 different, nutritionists and they're great, but they're all giving different types of advice.
You can probably do one scroll on the reels and this one will say, hey, this is good.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing
Stay
ever.
away from eggs. Eggs are your power breakfast. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, what do I do? So obviously becoming a strongman takes a lot of dedication. I have one question first. That's the softer side of the question. Sure. How does your daughter feel about that? She's 9 years old.
Yeah. I don't know if she knows like how strong. I
mean, you've never like flipped her up and threw her in the air
all the time. Right. But when it comes to kids, they watch and they learn.
Oh yeah.
And she comes to competitions with me. But she also comes to the gym with me. So we own the gym, so we can do that.
Oh yeah.
And I
do
don't
her
have
own little thing as she wants to.
And I don't have to tell her.
Oh. She just wants to do what dad's
she
doing.
knows that when I come into the gym, I'm going to restock the drinks, make sure there's toilet paper, all those things, clean up a little bit, and then I'll go do my own exercise, right? And eventually she says, oh, can I stock the drinks? Oh, can I make sure that, there's toilet paper in the bathroom?
Kids are awesome.
And then I'm squatting and she says, can I try that? Absolutely. Her favorite things to do is we have the plyo boxes, the jump boxes. So she loves to jump between them. So we'll come in, we'll set those up. And it should be fun, right? We talk about this long-term athletic development model. That's the model we use for adolescent athletes. And the first stage of that is the fundamentals, which start with 3 letters, fun.
Oh, smart.
So find something that they want to do, that they enjoy doing.
No, that's so smart. Were you always active, like as a youth?
Definitely. I'm the guy that just did every single sport. I used to make the comment that I'm the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Right. Because I could pick any sport up pretty fast.
Super cool.
And it's probably because I did a broad range of sports that I developed those skills and can learn pretty quickly. But then I realized, well, that general athleticism works very well. So long as you can be at least strong enough to compete with the big guys. If you move well, that goes very far.
You said you were fast, so that probably is super helpful with all of that, right? So what does a daily routine look like for you?
Yeah, there's some flexibility in that now too, because I go back and forth whether or not I'm going to the gym in the morning or in the evening time based off life, because life changes. So in residency,
you mean so when you can't go in the morning, you still go in the night?
Yes. And
that's a foreign concept to me, my friend.
Yeah, and thankfully, right. So the big thing is I realized that that's not always easy for a lot of people. Childcare is such a huge part, especially with women.
100%.
So, this is a burden that's shifted on that group of people harshly.
Yeah.
So especially when we think about trying to get women into strength training, we have to have solutions for childcare. And I'm sure we could do a whole other talk on that.
That's a whole nother topic, and we'll do that probably at some point.
But, for me, right, it's such an important part of my life. And I see a lot of things get a lot more challenging when I don't have my best friend in there. So whether it's giving up a little bit of sleep in the morning and going early, or just making sure I protect that time in the evening. It's something that I have to do in order to be the happiest, healthiest version of myself.
Yeah, I love that. What about goal setting? I bring that up because last year I set a goal. So I used to do a lot of running. Walk running. How about that? It wasn't full speed running. I was never fast or anything. But my husband and I, we would do a lot of like the Run Disney events, and we would that was like our feel good. We would get up early and like try to go and all of that. Well, we got off of it for a bit. I had a back injury and it just kind of went away. So last year I said, I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to do what I used to do, but it was so hard for me. And I did a half marathon and the 10K weekend. So I did both in the weekend. And I used to be able to knock that out. I used to be able to, we would do it and I would be tired, but we would do it. And this time it was so hard for me. So for someone who is getting back into a regimen, like what kind of goals should they be setting for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So you had Erin on your podcast
I did.
Earlier this month.
Yeah, just the one right before this. Yeah.
And one of her big take-home points was around purpose and meaning. Right.
Yes.
So what's your why? Why do you want to do this? Is that why? Because I really enjoy doing the Disney run with my family. That's a great goal.
Yeah.
And then a lot of things will fall into place when you understand that why. For some of my patients is when I go to my niece's house, she has this very low couch. And I'm so embarrassed when I need help getting up off of that couch.
Yeah.
And so it comes back to the primary care doctor and understanding the patient's why, and that will help you so much. And from there, as far as actual goals, we talk about something in medicine or lifestyle, what we call the cumulative exposure model.
Okay.
Where anything that you do, its benefit or risk is a function of how intense is it and how long have you been doing it. So it comes to even a small dose can add up over time.
Yeah.
So I like the concept called no 0 days.
Okay.
We said the minimum amount of exercise. We don't know what it is.
Could be seconds, right? Or it could be minutes. It could be whatever.
Yeah. So this goes for all of us. How many days in our lives do we know that we didn't do anything to help us with that physical activity? So this may sound very silly, but I have tough days, just like everybody. Yeah. Right? If I get home and I pull into my driveway and I know that I'm not going to be able to go to the gym, it's even just a quick walk around the block. Even before I go into the house.
Before you walk inside the house. Yeah.
And then if I haven't been able to do some of my strength training, my prompt is when I'm brushing my teeth at nighttime, right before I get in the shower, if I haven't done some of my rehab exercises for my knee injury, I will put my foot up on the tub and I'll do my Bulgarian split squats, right? And it might be 5 or 10 reps.
Yeah.
But guess what? It was not.
0. I like that.
So,
that's an easy concept.
Yeah, right back to that.
Yeah.
Do not let perfect be the enemy of good. And then doing even the small steps consistently over time will add up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I am determined to get back out there again and finish stronger than I did the last time. And I keep thinking, I'm like,
awesome.
What did I do last year that was different? And I think it was like I had 0 days.
So you just actually highlighted one of the most powerful tools that we use in a motivational interviewing conversation with someone. Tell me about a time when you were more successful in what you were doing then. And then you see the wheels immediately start turning.
Yep.
So ask yourself, like, hey, I was doing this better before. What did that look like? Paint that picture for yourself and say, what are the steps that I need to take, even if they're small ones, to get back toward what I was doing before.
And I knew it right away. Like after it's so funny because after I was finished, and I had been training for like 6 months, but I didn't train the same way I used to train. And I remember like I used to get up every Saturday morning. I used to do a morning show. So I couldn't get up before my morning show necessarily every morning because it was dark. It was
Very
so dark
painful.
outside.
Yes.
And it was like, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
Workout people are a different breed. That is for sure.
I don't know how they did it. I did do that for like 9 months a few years ago. And I was like, don't get me wrong. It was because somebody was pushing my booty to do it. I had a personal trainer who was showing up at my house and I felt like I can't let her
So
down.
you had someone to help you with that accountability.
I really did. And I know me now. I need accountability. I need someone to tell me to hold me accountable. And that is what I learned over the last year. Because the years prior, I was training with a team. I was doing it for team and training for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I felt bad when I wasn't showing up for them and saying, hey, I didn't do it. I'm behind now. So I needed that. And I think that's where I'm at now. Like, so I got to find who's going to help me, hold me accountable. So I have no 0 days.
Yeah, that's great. And so, it's very interesting about your Leukemia and Lymphoma Society work, right? And you talked about exercise and doing it for them.
Yeah.
I promise you, the second that you become somebody's exercise accountability, it becomes way easier to do that. Going back to those tough days, right? I promise you every day I said, man, I don't have it in me to go to the gym. Every single time somebody has come up to me, wow, thank you so much for your talk. It was very motivating. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing this for just myself. Right? My why is not just about the person sitting in my chair. It's my daughter. It's my community, right? It's all of my patients. So the most important thing that I can do to take care of my patients' health is to make sure that I take care of my own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, so much good information. Okay, we got to talk a little bit more about you. What is the biggest lesson you've learned from your first win to now your fourth? So you won in what, 2019?
2019. Yep.
2019, and then what, 2023, 2024? So what?
And then just this year.
And then this year you won.
Yep.
So cool. So what have you learned in that time?
Yeah. Every single contest is a learning moment.
Is it harder? Do you feel like since 2019, like to now, it's hard, it's more challenging for you, or do you feel like you're more fit now for it?
Oh, definitely more fit now for it. And I think, right, it's a learning process like everything. So there are steps that you're taking when you're first getting out. You're nervous, like you have all these things that you're thinking about, but then they become automatic.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the learning stops. Like every competition is a learning opportunity. So with myself and then also the athletes that I train, we have that check-in, that debrief after the competition and say, all right, well, how do you feel like that went?
Yeah.
And, depending on the type of mental framework they're in, they'll tell me the good parts or the bad parts. And I'm like, well, what do you feel like we could have done better?
Yeah.
Right. And that goes for any behavior.
And these are people that aren't doctors too, right?
Yes.
That are doing this. Many of them probably aren't doctors.
And this is what I do with my athletes, but it's actually the same thing that I do with my students as well as my patients. All right. So what could we have done better? And then what are you thinking about as far as our opportunities for the future? Where do you feel like we should focus on? So I'm, again, putting that ball back in their court to make the decision. So I do that process with myself and say, hey, where could I have done better in this prep? And then also what's realistic. So always
learned so
a learning
much.
opportunity.
So through the years, that's so
we're
cool.
22 years into this exercise journey as far as doing it for both performance and health. So a whole lot of time thinking about
that's
it.
cool though. I mean, you found your passion for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think passion is the key. Like when you know your passion, my passion is radio. I love learning about people. I love, I always feel like I am a very curious
you're also an
person.
educator, right?
Yeah. And
Your
I feel
whole
like
podcast is
now I
about
get to do a
education.
little bit of that.
Awesome.
And I always felt like I may do that one day. And then this presented itself and I'm like obsessed now, right? Like I want to know everything about everybody.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Which is probably the reason I always feel like that first question that I always ask is because I want to be able to tell my kids like everyone starts somewhere, right? And so for me, I started somewhere with my radio journey very, very young. Not everybody does start very, very young. Some people drop out of high school. Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing story because it shows your perseverance. And you're a doctor and a strongman. I mean, like, that's really inspirational. So I love knowing that backstory. Like, no one just becomes a doctor. Like, there is a whole story behind why they went into medicine or why they went into lifting or why they went into whatever they were in. So cool. So we're talking a lot about mental health on the podcast. Many of our episodes are about it. How are you balancing that right now? Your own mental health with your family, with your practice before we wrap it up, because I feel like I'm taking up all your time because I have so many questions for you.
No, yeah, always happy to answer them. So I told you before that everything would fall apart if it weren't for exercise.
Yeah.
And we know that exercise is one of the most powerful, or just physical activity, is one of the most powerful mental health tools that we can use.
Yeah.
So just to put some numbers on that for people, if there are 8 people in a room with depression, it takes us treating all 8 of them with a medication for one person to get better. And that's really not that bad in terms of types of interventions we do in medicine.
Yeah.
A number needed to treat is what we call it, of 8 people for one person to get better is pretty good. For exercise,
it feels like it isn't, but I understand.
Yes.
Because in the scheme of things, but I know, right. I see what you're saying.
For exercise, 2 people.
Oh my gosh.
2 people that start an exercise regimen, if they have depression, one of those people will get better. It doesn't mean don't use medications. It means we have tools in the toolbox, and this is a very powerful tool. Any guesses on what the most effective form of exercise is for improving mood?
I'm going to say walking.
So I would say
that'd be my guess.
The practical answer is whichever one you'll do.
The
data answer, dancing.
Oh,
it's a
that's
radio
a great,
show, right? So music.
Okay, well, I dance a lot.
If you're feeling down, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite song to dance to?
Oh gosh, anything by The Weeknd. I'm obsessed. Yeah.
I love my pump up song, my mental, make sure I'm in the right mindset. Macklemore's Glorious.
Oh, it's a great song.
Right. So just the positivity. So modulate your own happiness, listen to your positive song. And I had so many patients tell me that they really struggled with enjoying exercise. And then I asked them what their favorite song was.
Yeah.
And when's the last time they danced? So if you're worried about dancing and doing it in front of a group, I would encourage you to do it with your kids. If you're a busy mom, right, you're just trying to find time. Hey, set that timer for 3 minutes and you guys just dance your heart out.
We used to do that in our, so I have a sign in my kitchen. I'm going off on tangents like crazy, but I have a sign in my kitchen that says this kitchen is made for dancing.
That's perfect.
So we even installed lights in my kitchen. It's a small kitchen, but some days we're like, you can't go in the kitchen unless you're gonna dance, and we'll put music. And then I'm like, if you want to go get, if you want to get something out of there, you better go. You gotta dance all the way to do it, and then dance all the way back out.
That's awesome.
But it's become our dance floor, is our kitchen.
The sillier the dance, the better.
Yeah. And now that they're getting older, it's super funny to watch them because they'll still do it. Like, they get into it, or they'll film, TikToks and all that. They'll film them in my kitchen.
I was going to say, how many times have you found them practicing so they can have better dance moves?
Yes. Well, my youngest is a competitive dancer.
Awesome.
So she has definitely inspired a lot of our dancing. She's way better at it than all of us combined, but it is exciting, and dancing is so smart. I mean, of course.
So very simple tool, right? If you're struggling with exercise, listen to your favorite song.
Yeah.
It'll become so much easier.
Oh no, our family's obsessed with music, so I can imagine lots of people feel that way about music. Okay, before I let you go, tell me, what do you think? I feel like there's so much information that you've given and so many great things. What are the 3 key takeaways that you hope people will just take this with you? If you could do nothing else, these 3 things.
Yeah. So when it comes to exercise, doing it consistently, both cardiovascular exercise like you're walking as well as the resistance training.
Yes.
Both of those have unique benefits. We should try to do both consistently. If you are able to do those consistently, you will be less likely to die for any reason or be harder to kill by anything.
I love that. I'm going to literally tell people that. I'm harder to kill now. So
yeah, that's right.
I work out.
Yeah. And then the second one was, do not let that perfect be the enemy of good. So doing something, even if it is a small dose, consistently over time adds up. And when life allows it and when you have the space to do it, yes, doing more will provide additional benefit.
Yeah.
But the third one's going to be, it should be something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? Because doing something you enjoy means that you're much more likely to do it. And as your body does the beautiful thing, which is adapting to the stress that you show it with exercise, and you get stronger, you get to do more of the thing that you enjoy. Mm-hmm. So make sure it's something that you enjoy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Dr. Mock, thank you so much. How can people find you? How can they know about your gym? Tell us all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say thank you for all the public health education that you do with your podcast. So for clinical pieces, I'm at Loma Linda University in the Center for Health Promotion. I'm our medical director of our primary care and our lifestyle medicine services. And then for the gym, I own Hot Barbell, HOT Barbell Club in Redlands, California.
Awesome.
We are a powerlifting and strongman gym. So if you like picking things up, putting them back down, sometimes in a different location than where you pick them up, check us out. And then on Instagram or LinkedIn, you can find me. My Instagram is dr_mock, M-O-C-K, just like you're making fun of me.
And none of us would. He is hard to kill.
That's right. Massive teddy bear as well.
Yeah, no, you obviously are so sweet. We appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much. And
Absolute pleasure.
Hopefully we can get you back on again
Anytime.
soon.